How long can I play this until you get angry at me?
Already am.
Okay, let's turn that one off and do this instead. Hey kids, how you doing? Will Vincent, Nick Rowland, 2 dudes, 1 pint, Super Bowl 49 Roundup. Sounds a bit like WWF from 30 years ago.
Does sound a bit like that, to be fair.
Yeah, but the one before the big one is in the books, and, well, Marshawn Lynch decided that he didn't want to run a ball, or someone decided he didn't want to run a ball with, 20 seconds left in the game, 2nd and goal, and that's the podcast. Talk to you later, bye!
Well, that summed it up perfectly. So, I think we can have more of the drink now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Until that point, one of the best Super Bowls of all time.
Oh yeah, without doubt. Firstly, to actually watch in America was just amazing. But yeah, that's easily one of the best Super Bowls I can remember. A hell of a lot of entertainment, insane play calls, insane catches, and yeah, just all round a thoroughly entertaining game of football.
Well, yeah, there's a lot that could be said about that game. Sorry, multitasking, it doesn't always work. Yeah, but yeah, you forget that 2 plays before the one with the INT, it was probably one of the craziest catches of the year. In fact, it was one that would make Odell Beckham think, wait a minute, what's going on? This way you talk, Nick. It's a two-way process.
But for some reason, it was not responding at all. My mic was too far away from my mouth. I apologise. What was going on? I think most of New England were thinking, oh, not again.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, actually, ironically, New England fans were actually leaving the stadium at the point just after halftime, apparently, and there were more leaving after the 3rd quarter. 10 points down, 1 quarter to go. It's never going to happen. The same way Seahawks fans were leaving the stadium with half to go in the game against Green Bay. This is what you need to do, Nick. Leave the game early. Your team will win.
Well, that consensus goes with soccer as well, so yeah,
soccer!
I think that kind of works.
Yep, there we are.
But you were right. As soon as you seem to start leaving, they seem to win. But also, Patriots do have the most boring fans, so they had to go and eat somewhere, I guess.
Well, yeah, they had a reservation, of course. And that's the thing. It's well done, Tom Brady. Well done, New England. But yeah, the celebration wasn't the same as it was when Seattle won, when they kind of, took over. It's like, oh my God, we've won something. I'm pissed off. There's no free Starbucks, of course.
Yeah, well, the thing about the Deflatriots winning is it's just so boring. How can a team win yet be so boring at the same time? I don't even know how that works. It's just, unless you're actually from New England and Mark Wahlberg, no one else cares.
To be honest, yeah. And the thing is, the Patriots are, of course, one of the least liked teams, shall we say, in the NFL. Although, to be fair, Seattle's kind of started to go down that route from being the underdogs to now being, oh my God, will you please shut the fuck up? Although
they have, but that's only because I think what's happened is exactly what happened on that final play. And it kind of reflects the Seahawks, I believe, marginally this season as well. They've got arrogant.
I completely agree. And as far as everything leading up to it as well, I will say one thing. If you don't know who Marshawn Lynch is right now, and you don't know that you're going to get not very much out of him when you interview, go back to your sweet little paper, go to your desk, put everything into a big box, and just leave. Because Marshawn Lynch doesn't do interviews. We get it. But all you do when you start asking question after question after question after question, you're just pissing everyone off now, let's be honest.
Well, he was never going to answer anything. He never got the ball in the final play. I'm sure he's going to have probably the worst off-season ever, and I suspect come back angry.
Richard Sherman's had a kid though, so congratulations to him.
Yep.
And yeah, the only thing that has probably deflated more than the Patriots footballers at the Colts game, allegedly, are now Seahawks fans' egos.
Well, like I said, there was some arrogance starting to come in there for sure, and they weren't the team they were 2 years ago. So maybe they've eaten some humble pie.
Is that with a coffee from a certain Seattle place?
I think they would need that, and probably the stronger the better as well.
Yeah. Of course, I could go north the border and get Tim Hortons, but, you know, it's Canada. And they don't like Canada, I don't think. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, the game was good. Coverage was alright. Although, pre-game, my god, NBC are boring.
Yeah, see, NBC pre-game I thought was pretty shocking, boring, and I didn't even see the Sky coverage. I don't know how much of Sky's coverage was on compared to that.
They actually, you remember last year they used Fox's pre-game direct. They literally just pumped the feed. This year they used NFL Game Day instead, which, I mean, I know Fox and Sky are pretty much one and the same, but yeah, NFL Game Day was better.
That doesn't really surprise me. As for commentary, I thought it was good in the fourth quarter, but the rest of it I found a little bit bland. There was a play, and I can't remember which quarter it was in. It was from the Seahawks. They must have thrown it about 25-30 yards, and it was like nothing had happened with the commentators. It was like, oh,
caught by someone.
Pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, we'll move on to the next play now. And yeah, it was kind of more like that. I was like, well, where's the enthusiasm?
Well, yeah. And they ran on about how Al and Chris are the best on TV. They're all right, but for me, it's all about Nance and Sims because my fucking god, do they not have even the INT was intercepted. Oh my god! Of course, Joe Buck would have been screaming something at that point. But Nance and Sims, I think they had the perfect balance between commentary and excitement.
I couldn't agree more, and that has been the case for a while now, and I'm surprised sometimes that, I mean, I don't know how the rotation works, but how NBC are able to pick it up with that sort of coverage, but apparently they do, and from my understanding was it the most spectated one yet as well?
Yep, fourth quarter, 120 million people were watching it, and of course...
Yeah, by the way, can I just say something on that? There is the most pathetic stat going around, the fact that there was 120 million people that watched that, and that 650 million people watched Chelsea against Manchester City. Can I just say bullshit's that? There's not a chance that happened.
Well, seeing as only about 2 million people watch football in America, there's, you know, quite a bit of the world's population. I'm not sure what the Russians are generally doing, but yeah. And how many people would watch that game in the UK? What, 2 million? Put it all together. Yeah, I agree. And of course, the only event that spectator-wise, in actual TV, live TV, watch more is Champions League. Super Bowl and the Champions League, they kind of go head-to-head. Now, actually, when it's CBS year, because they've got less affiliates or something in certain parts of the world, they have less people than the Super Bowl. The reason why NBC have it is because they're, you know, one of the three non-cable broadcasters, along with CBS and Fox, for doing NFL games. I mean, to be fair, though, I am kind of glad they only have one game a week for most of the season, because CBS and Fox do it better, a lot better. I mean, the coverage wasn't bad, but yeah, it's... when you have a memorable moment, you need a memorable call to go with the moment. And it's a philosophy that Murray Walker used to say, you know, he's just there adding a narrative to the story. Yeah, that's great, but the commentary for some of the best plays in football is directly intrinsic. I think, actually, a good commentated play makes the play just a little bit better.
I couldn't agree more. Same with motorsport. It just makes it that little bit better. Same with any sport, you get a good call on it, and it just makes it that little bit better. It takes that sort of adrenaline rush that little bit higher. And when it seems like, yeah, there's a catch in that, and like everyone's off their seats saying, "Oh my god, that was amazing," and the commentator's like, "Yeah, kind of average that."
I think Al Michaels was was probably doing the Sunday New York Times crossword or something at the same point, because it was a little bit, yeah. We'll stop talking about NBC for just what, although their graphics were good. I would like their graphics, yes.
Yeah, I did like their graphics, yeah.
But, I mean, Patriots, we never actually talked about the championship game. Are the Patriots the right team to win the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, are they the right team?
Putting everything into perspective that happened on the field, are they the actual team, do you think, to have won the Super Bowl?
No.
Who should have?
Seahawks.
Okay. Of course, the Seahawks were a better team throughout the entire year.
The reason I say that is that even though the Patriots set themselves up to essentially be unpredictable by playing a different player in every position in every game, it didn't make them an entertaining side to watch, and it made, I don't know, it was just all about Brady and Belichick still, and okay, they had a good offensive line at times, but I don't know, there just wasn't enough there. I just find the entire Patriots franchise just boring, and there's just nothing really to them, because but let's be honest, as soon as Brady goes, then I don't know where that franchise is going to go, and I don't really believe in my heart that they were the right team to win. Yes, they were playing well. Yes, throughout the first half they outplayed the Seahawks, but the Seahawks came back. The Seahawks showed endeavour differently to what the Patriots did, or the Deflatriots as I like to call them now. They showed different endeavour, and because of that, I think the way that the Seahawks actually operated up until 11 seconds to go, or however short a time it was left to go, then for me personally, it was the Seahawks. The Seahawks should have won, and throughout the entire season, I have still thought the Seahawks should be the team to achieve it. The only other team I thought would have been worthy of the Super Bowl this year were the Packers, really. And while, you know, teams like Dallas and the Vikings were good candidates for it, they ultimately fell at the points that I thought they would fall, and they did fall then. The only team that I thought may have gone all the way could have been the Packers, but it was instead the Seahawks, and for me, it should have been the Seahawks, and the Deflatriots left what was a bad off-the-field, not a great on-the-field season with kind of an average finish overall.
Yeah, basically like any New England fans' love life.
Well, yeah.
You know, just meh. No excitement. Darling, shall we go on a drive? Okay. But, of course, I'm a Colts fan, and it's very easy to go on and on and on about Deflategate. Now, I will say one thing. All these people making comments about, you know, oh, but this, that, and the other with the second half and the fact that they had properly inflated nut sacks. Momentum is such a huge thing in the NFL that, you know, one half of play can make or break an entire season. So there is that one to ponder on. Although, to be fair, in hindsight, I'm kind of glad the Colts didn't make the Super Bowl, because it would have been a repeat of last year, simple as that. Because I don't understand how that team can have beaten every single person, like, who were better than them last year, and this year be struggling so much.
Well,
you're a Bears fan, I know.
Yeah, but then again, that comes back to what I was saying before about like who was rightfully should have been there, because as a Bears fan, I even said the Packers should have been there. So it depends how you look at it.
True, but of course, this is the whole thing of the NFL as well. We've had it. They only have 17 weeks of play, but then of course they have themselves 4 weeks of preseason. Then afterwards, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks until the Super Bowl and postseason. And it's not long until we got ourselves ready for the combine at Lucas Oil Stadium. And then before we know it, holy shit, we're back into the draft.
Yeah, the combine's coming up, and what's the draft? April?
Yeah, I'm having a look right now. April
I
30th
think
till
the draft...
May 2nd.
There you go. So late April, early May is the draft, and after the draft, I guess most people then start hard into pre-season before it leads up to their 4 weeks of practice games,
Well,
or
yeah.
pre-season games.
So we're kind of like already back in the cycle already once again, which is it's nice. We talked before about the draft, so we're not going to talk about it much more again. I will ask you a question.
I wanted to clarify one more point before that, and the fact that the draft will come up, and no doubt we'll cover it again. First round pick, Buccaneers. Which quarterback are you taking?
Not Mariota.
Not Mariota.
Not Mariota.
Ooh.
He's a great quarterback. He's an amazing quarterback, but I don't think the franchise is right for him. Secondly, I think that there are teams where he will be an overall better fit and they can help him. Buccaneers right now, they're in a place where they kind of, are struggling, have been struggling for quite some time right now. I don't think that overall it is the right fit. I would say Winston. I hate it, but I think Winston will be good for that franchise. He's brash, he's arrogant. The Buccaneers want to be brash and
Florida
arrogant
as well.
Yeah, he is. And you know what? Short term will be good. Long term, the Buccaneers aren't thinking long term.
That's true. Winston is a good fit there, and he probably will go to the Buccaneers first rounds. As a player, though, I don't know. Winston does have that sort of versatility about him, and I think that will serve well. The question is that can he turn around, that franchise in a short space of time?
No. Simple answer. There we are. Mariota, in my opinion, will go to Washington or to the Jets. Or, if you're very intelligent, you do a Aaron Rodgers with him and you put him at either Chicago or New York Giants. Because we all know that Cutler, well, he's getting old. He is a bit shit. We know that Eli is getting old and can be a bit shit.
And also Cutler's overpaid.
Oh, God, yeah, he's overpaid. And actually, there's a chance to get... Maybe it might even just be the fact that he'd kick Cutler up the ass. I do think that, actually, he'll go to Washington. I don't know why. I just think he will. Because RG, I have 3 injuries already in 3 seasons of playing. I don't really see him back.
No, I don't see him back. If you are clever and you do want him, then the Giants and the Bears do seem good options. But I think the Bears have done so much in the locker room in terms of the staffing options they've gone with. I think to change things then fundamentally on the field straight away could be a risk. And I don't like Cutler at all. I've never been a big Cutler fan. But Cutler knows the team, and even if it's just to allow the backroom staff to blend for a year, maybe look again then come next season, or the following season I should say, then maybe look again for a quarterback. Or they take him and essentially try and play him on a rotation system with Cutler. I don't think Cutler would like it, but maybe it will give him a kick up the arse. But I kind of got this feeling he will either go to Washington or he'll go to the Jets.
Yeah. I think we're mutually kind of in agreement on that one. I think there's still a little bits and pieces still what we sorted out in that draft. The fact that you've got Manning, in my opinion, retiring. You've got a couple of other people who I think, on their last legs as well. So plenty, I think, that needs to be thought about coming into what's actually going to be an interesting draft. Not probably the most interesting last 5 years, but still moderately worth watching. And of course, you'll see it on NFL Network and on ESPN. It's in the game. Should we talk cars?
Okay.
Yeah, why not? Well, we're only going to talk cars for a little bit, but you know, we've stopped talking. We will stop talking about the NFL for a little bit now because of the fact that there's not going to be. We're not ESPN, so that means we come to our second.
We're not ESPN at all.
No, we come to our other love, which is, I almost call it second love. It's a joint mutual. It's like having two girlfriends, each for 6 months of the year. A summer girlfriend and a winter girlfriend.
That sums up quite nicely. And then there's your other interests as well, like your dirty bit on the side with some skiing or cycling.
Yes, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum. Yeah, but we have ourselves, well, the motorsport season's really already kicked into gear. Now, I don't care what any of those people in Dubai say. Motorsport season starts the second you head into Daytona Beach, Florida, okay? And that's what happened a couple of weeks back. We had ourselves a 24 hours at Daytona, followed by the iRacing.com 24 hours at Daytona, which was simultaneously, there was some guy from top north who was, I don't know, driving a go-kart or something?
Yes, a week after the race at Daytona, at the official Rolex 24 hours, there was another 24-hour race, which was the 24 Hours of America, held at Daytona on the infield go-kart track. And I competed in it.
Daytona! Yeah. Tell us about the race.
I competed in it. Well, it's the first ever time I've done a 24-hour race for one thing. It was the most incredible experience ever that I'm already looking at doing more of it. It's already been announced that they are going to the NOLA Motorsport Park next March. They are going there. So there's 24 hours at NOLA. There's also races held at Le Mans. I don't think we're going to do Le Mans this year, but there is a race at Teesside Track near Middlesbrough in August. There's potential of.
Yeah, but it's near Middlesbrough, let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It's in August, so it might be a little bit less smoggy.
I don't even know where Middlesbrough actually is. I just know it's a dive.
It is a dive, but most of the East Coast is a dive.
Well, yeah, that's a very good point. Let's have a look then at Middlesbrough. You carry on. I'll...
Yeah, so my race was just absolutely incredible. They tried to make it as spec could be, so we all had a minimum weight of 200 pounds. And if you were under it, you had weight added to the cart to bring you up to that. And if you were over that, well, you were just a fat fuck. Hello, me. So, yeah, it was a case of coming to pit stops. We could pit for fuel every 2.5 to 3 hours to refuel at the 9 to 13-hour mark. And then the 17 to 21-hour mark, we also had to do a 9-minute mechanical stop where actual mechanics would work on the car, change a tyre if needed, make modifications. We even had new brake pads added on one stop. So, yeah, it was about as spec racing as they could possibly get. We competed in the semi-pro class, and we finished second in class and 12th overall. I did... Thank you very much. And I did 4 stints altogether of 45 minutes. And I was absolutely knackered by the end of it. Because even after half an hour in that car, with, by the way, Daytona kart track is also the bumpiest thing in the world, my arms were shattered.
Was your gentleman's sausage a little bit crumpled up as well by all the bumping? And more importantly, how many laps behind were you from the leader?
The gentleman's parts were breathing but wounded, much like the legs of a couple of drivers where their fuel tanks overspilled onto their legs and created a burn, which was very nasty. Matt Strands, Ryan Mayfield, I salute you two for carrying on in this stint as well. We finished from the class leader. It was 5 laps behind, but we lost laps after we incorrectly called a pit stop and had to make 2 refuel stops rather than 1. We brought one of our guys in too early because there was a breakdown in communication when one of the guys went to sleep. So that was a slight issue.
Was it you?
Yeah. No, it wasn't me. I was the one in the cart. I was jumping out and passing over to Ryan, and they told him to then pit on the next stint around, so I had not been told the information until I was out of the cart.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it could have been better, and next year, apparently, yeah, NOLA. So I might even come out. I don't know if I'll actually want to race or commentate it. Who knows? But coming up soon, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the year again. You know what time of the year it is, Nick?
Spring?
It's that time when people forget that this was a football song. Because NASCAR on Fox! Yeah.
So NASCAR's back anyway.
Yeah.
And being at Daytona as well, there was the school on at the time, and there was a couple of cars going round, old school cars, like old school Jeff Gordon and that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Jeff Gordon's final season this year, which is a little bit sad. But yeah, Daytona 500, I'll watch that. They've got new broadcasting agreements. Yay, whatever. It's NASCAR. They race probably about 12 to 15 too many weeks. Meanwhile, in Formula 1, what a load of fucking bellends are team managers.
Well, team managers, you could say, are the bell end ones, but also you could also argue that the FIA generally, Bernie generally, are the bell ends, because at the same time, I can also understand why teams want to essentially take that money, and I think now 35 million gets spread across the lower end teams.
Which sucks.
Which is essentially bullshit.
Yep. I think it's deplorable, and it makes me really question whether or not I want to keep on feeding money into the Bernie Eccleston machine, because it's a bit of a joke in my opinion, and I'm not happy about it. Oops. But yeah,
I don't think many people are really happy about it, but then there's also the argument, aren't they just making up the numbers on the grid? But my argument to that is, well, they got to start somewhere to move forwards. Force India did that. They were able to move forwards. Okay, the funding of those teams hasn't been great, but it goes to show that it is achievable.
Yeah, but let's be honest.
Although apparently Force India are now going to miss all the tests.
Yeah. Let's be honest though, Force India was, what, a Midland, which was something else along the way, which was something else, which at one point was a Jordan.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Which was back in 1991, you know. They were struggling for survival. They had 7-Up on the car. And at one point, they had to recruit some German drivers to drive for them at Spa, because of the fact the other one was in jail.
Yeah, it's amazing that, isn't it?
I know.
I think he turned out okay.
He did, yeah. I can't remember his career stats, but I think he won a couple of races or something. But yeah, IndyCar's coming up soon as well, even though they're missing their first race of the season. Well done, IndyCar. You're fucking things up again.
Yeah, that's not really the best way to kick it off, is it?
Well, yeah, there's two things in a space of 2 weeks. Number one, that bell-end Brian Barnhart is back. Number two, that race in Brazil, yeah, it's not actually happening. Let's not forget that there's supposed to be a race in Dubai as well. That never happened. So once again, IndyCar is American only, with the exception of a race in Canada, if they actually still have that one, which I think they do.
Yep, they do. Middle of the year.
Yep, there we are. Oh, Canada. But yeah, apart from that, it's an American season. It all kicks off March 27th through 29th on ABC, the home of always bullshit coverage. Yeah, there we are. Is there anything else that we need to talk about, actually? What haven't we talked about?
Well, I guess the one big thing is the fact that most drivers in most series have now been confirmed.
Yes.
Formula 1, NASCAR, IndyCar, and even, can we say, the fact that yesterday, that Thursday, the WEC was announced, along with Le Mans as well. Those fields were officially announced, and the ELMS field was announced.
Yes. There's no Garage 56 this year, is there?
No.
Putting you on the spot here, aren't I? Yeah, that's the only thing I know, is I don't think there's a Garage 56 this year. But
no, because aren't they doing something else with that program? I can't remember what it is, though.
Yeah,
I remember reading something about it, but I can't remember what it is.
The important thing is...
this essentially, it will be just the LMP1, LMP2, GT Pro, GT Yam.
Important thing is, endurance racing is on a rise worldwide at the moment. But
not just endurance, but GT generally.
Yes.
I read today, apparently, Heikki Kovalainen's going to Japan to do Super GT.
And all of a sudden, it seems that people actually care about, cars which have roofs, which is great. And of course, that will bleed down to things like WTCC, BTCC. BTCC, I swear I read yesterday that they got offered the opportunity to compete somewhere, which is going to be...
They got offered to compete at Macau.
Yes. Which, for those of you who don't know Macau, basically, it's the most batshit crazy racetrack in the universe.
It really is. It's worse than Monaco.
Monaco, please.
Oh, please. Sorry, Monaco.
Yeah, it's Monaco. Let's get our pipe in. Well, yes. But, yeah, Macau, which is going to be fun. But it's a good time for motorsports, except for F1.
Basically, unless it's open-wheeled, it's good, it's looking strong, because I don't even think GP2 and GP3 are sorted yet.
GP what?
GP2?
Yeah.
GP3?
Yeah. Oh, you mean like old school Formula 3000, which they keep on changing names of everything to change them about, even though you have still got F3000, you have still got F2 in places, and you still got F3 in places.
Well, F2 is meant to be making a return. World Series by Renault, I think, is probably still the strongest open-wheel category at the moment, even though it's not endorsed by Bernie or the FIA, and they're like, well, what the fuck?
Yep.
So, I think there is some promise for those series, potentially, but, in terms of open-wheel racing, it's not looking great. It's all to see about endurance, NASCARs and touring cars, anything that's got a roof over it, pretty much, and, you want any other great racing, well, then I suggest that you go and watch MotoGP, because after the pre-season test there, my God, that looks good.
Oh, yes. What does look good, and I never thought I'd say this, that Red Bull.
Yeah, that Red Bull. Didn't think I would say that either, but that Red Bull does look quite nice, and I weirdly like the Ferrari as well. I know it's got a strange long-ass nose, but I do quite like the shape of it.
Did you see the Fiat 500 Super Bowl commercial?
No, but I did see the Nissan one, and that's a what the fuck moment.
Yeah, the Fiat 500 one basically was what happens if you give a Fiat 500 Viagra. I think the same thing applies for the front end of that Ferrari. Basically,
yeah.
Italians need to stop feeding their cars Viagra. It's not good for you!
Yeah, that's that's so true.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a couple of nice
I think
cars.
McLaren have done the same thing, and for want of a better word, Honda.
Yeah.
What exactly is going on?
They're Honda. Simple as that.
Yeah, okay.
They can be great. They never get off to the best of start, so do they?
They take a couple of years to learn stuff. They're a bit like Ferrari.
Yeah. And I think that, of course, one thing is like, no, you can't have that. Basically, that's what the issue is that I think the car still thinks it's a Mercedes because it's still got the Mercedes paint scheme on it. And there's Honda thinking, wait a minute, there's all these things talking to me in German. What's going on? I'm Japanese.
Yeah. I kind of think the same thing, and they say they've already fixed it ready for the next test, and let's see if Alonso can actually point the thing in a straight line, because I don't know if you saw Ted Kravitz being interviewed on Sky Sports the other day, but there was a moment where Alonso was going around the hairpin at Jerez, and he wasn't actually in a straight line at any point powering on.
Which is always just a little bit scary. If you want to do that, go and ride in the X Games instead. It's far more entertaining. But you're right, and the McLaren still continuing to struggle, still continuing to be shit, still with pretty much, two sponsors for the entire team. I like they said, how Ron Dennis said, we'll change delivery when we want to do it, but there'll be something about sponsors in there as well. Basically, it's all
so in other words, that's basically code for the fact that we don't actually have any sponsors yet. When we do get one, we'll change delivery.
Yeah, we'll actually stick a sticker on the car, which is a little bit entertaining. But I think, that's really all about F1, isn't it? It's not a lot at the moment. The first test, of course, most entertaining moment of that was Niki Lauda having a piss on live TV.
Yes. Yeah, that was pretty entertaining, to be fair. I don't really think that you can say there's much else going on in Formula 1 at the moment. It's all a bit saturated and a bit bland at the moment, is Formula 1. I think there's a lot more interest in other areas of racing, namely for the fact of the Bathurst 12 hours.
And it's on tonight! Except for the
And so
fact
is
that
the
no
V8
V8
supercar test at the same time. Well fucking done, V8 supercars on that one. Well done.
Bell ends. Yeah, I mean, that's the first big mistake I think that V8's made in a very long time, because V8 has been getting so much attention that they've started to become NASCAR douchebags, essentially.
Yes. And they're now going to Fox-Tel.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to get that right. It's Fox-Tel.
There we go.
There we are. Although the 1000 is still going to be on network as well, but it's moved back from 7 to 10, I think. What is it with Australian TV channels? Can they not be inventive at all? Okay, we're going to have a TV channel. You're 1. You can be called 2. You're 3. You're 4. You're 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, you're cable. You can call yourself Fox, but you must put a tel at the end. Yes, must put a tel. I don't get it.
Well, I don't get it either. I don't get exactly what they're trying to achieve. I know they want to change some of the rules again for the next season. In fact, they want to bring another generation of car out where you basically can have your own engine. You run to a certain set of regulations, which that will be fun for balance of performance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. V8 supercars, it's been on a decline for a little while. While Bathurst has been strong for a couple of years, the actual series has been on a bit of a decline for a while. I don't see a great deal of hope for it at the moment. It seems to have lost its identity a bit in what it is. And while it is still popular to watch and it does produce some good racing, I don't see the longevity factor like I do with some of the GT series that have been created. I don't see it the same as where some of the endurance stuff has been created, and you know it falls into the same category of what the Tudor sports car series is. You know, the United Sports Car Series. Will it really work?
Well, yeah, I think that as far as the V8 goes, it was a bit like the UFC. It imploded, it was huge, and now it's like, okay, shit, we've run out of things to do. Everything we do is messing up our, whatever. Yeah, back to the doldrums it is for us, which, it's the thing is, it was a good, and the Bathurst is still one of the races to watch, one of the best races to watch all year.
It is, that's the thing. Bathurst is one that you write on your calendar. You want to watch that race. And it is usually a good race. My concern is more of the way that they're going about things with the cars. Yes, these new cars probably are better, and they do go more along the lines of more modern technology, which is great. But, you know, they want to further reduce costs. They want to change things coming up. And I don't know, I don't know. There's some regulations out there that have been put out, and it's kind of it doesn't bode well. It's my same feelings I had towards BTCC. I used to love BTCC.
Yes.
I absolutely loved it the year Colin Turkington won, not last year, but a few years ago. I think it was 2009. I went for 3 years in a row to Alton Park, 4 years in a row to Alton Park, and I loved BTCC. BTCC died for me at the point that the champion, Colin Turkington, couldn't get a drive the following season.
Welcome to motor racing in the United Kingdom.
Yes.
I know, I am a little bit vocal when I say that. I mean, to be fair, the British commentary, the British racing scene is a bit shit. It really is a bit shit for what it should be.
The British racing scene is shit for what it should be, considering like how much the viewership that motorsport has in this country. Motorsport generally is a bit shit, and I think that's for 2 reasons. Firstly, obviously, it's cost.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, I think there's the whole class structure that's part of motor racing, and I think it's viewed as being a little bit snobby. You look at where all the teams are.
Class.
Yeah, you look at where all the teams are. They're all down south, east, Oxford, Motorsport Valley, all around that area, and that's all very much money and near Heathrow, near London, and I don't think you get anything like you get further north with the friendly factor. And I don't think you have that blend, and I do very much think it's viewed upon as a bit of a snobby thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I know I've just been out in America and it's not viewed like that at all. And I think because of it, it creates a so-called class structure. And let's be honest, most of the drivers that are British, that you see that are interviewed, majority of them are utter wankers.
Oh God, yes. And then afterwards, it's like, oh, sorry, I have to go. And my son Johnny, we're going to buy him a new horse. Ha ha.
Exactly. Seriously, most motorsport fans, when they see a British driver, they either are basically toffs themselves or just wankers.
Yeah. I would like to apologise to the one or two drivers who I know who aren't like that, who race in the UK. But again, the money is the important thing, and money does talk in British motorsports, and it's a huge shame.
If I will take that back also for those low category drivers that are actually trying to work their way up,
yes.
Not ones that just throw money at it and say, "Oh, Dad, can I have a bit more, please?"
Yes, I completely agree, and actually, it's going to impact on the opportunity for our drivers to represent themselves in an international scene. I don't think we'll have, with the exception of Hamilton, a world champion in Formula 1 for the next 15 years. Period.
I do not disagree with you on bit. As soon as Hamilton hangs up his helmet, then I do not envisage or see any other British champion, maybe even longer than that. I think we're going to go through, as soon as Hamilton retires, we're going to go through a very bleak phase, because let's be honest, Jenson Button's going to do fuck all against Fernando Alonso.
Jensen? Oh, yeah, the guy who still stars in Santander commercials. Him, yeah.
Yeah.
He should have so retired last year. But, yeah, controversy here. And I'm sure there'll be some people watching or listening to this on some other commentary people who will be like, oh my God, you said something bad about British motorsport. Tough shit.
That's like people sitting around saying that that you said something bad about the Premier League. I'm saying something bad about the Premier League in British drivers because it's a load of bloody bollocks.
Precisely. And in order for people to actually start fixing things, you need fans to stop sucking up to these entire racing series where it is biased towards the rich, towards daddy's little boy and all that shit, and actually go back to what it is. In America, they have it so you can basically race and it'll cost you £500, and if your car's worth more than £500, at the end of the race someone can go and say, here's £500, I'd like your car. You need to get...
That is so wildly true, and I'll tell you what the reason that is as well, is because when I was with Satellite Racing out there, this is a team that has been created by one of my friends, and he's very successful off it. He was Formula 600 champion two years ago. Self-funded, all of it self-funded, works about 70 hours a week to fund it. And this season, he has a driver that is a sim racer. He's a sim racer, and he is flying down to Atlanta. He has to sign 4 pieces of paper. He has to go through a race school, which costs about $1,500. And he can then have a license and go and race.
Awesome.
And in this country, we have to jump over every hurdle. I mean, MSA licenses, physicals, other licenses, and we are still on the verge of not being able to race because the price of actually getting into a car is too high.
Yeah. And don't forget that you also need to give your first daughter as well to, the MSA in order to get your license or something stupid like that. It's pathetic.
Basically, when you are still a sperm, you have to be enrolled.
Yes. And this is why, seriously, I generally don't watch much British motorsports. Yes, there is some good stuff on TV, but I think that by supporting the bullshitness of it, it's not being part of the solution. Being part of the solution is for a lot of series to wake up and say, this is not sustainable. And this is why when you get into Formula 1, the people who watch Formula 1 in the UK, they don't understand about the fact that we could very easily have a series. You know what? 35 million. That was what Minardi used to operate on for a year.
It was indeed.
That is how much 35 million is to an F1 team in some ways. 35 million for someone like McLaren, heck, that'll be installing new toilets so people can take a shit more comfortably.
Probably better motorhomes,
Yeah.
All that sort of nonsense. Yeah, it's dire. And honestly, there may be people listening to this. We may get people turning off because we're slating British motorsport, but it is not good. It is not in a healthy way. There is not a healthy series in the UK. Oh, British touring cars. And what? Do you really see many youngsters coming through the ranks?
No.
In British motorsport that will reach Formula 1? You had Max Chilton. Let me say that again. Max Chilton. Wow.
Yeah.
Nothing. He did nothing. And even if we try and look at other series that have drivers coming through, or even drivers that are in a series for 2015 that you think, well, you know, maybe they've got some potential for the season, and can they make it to Formula One? Well, have you heard about any other drivers that are actually, you know, worthy of going into Formula One at the moment?
No.
No. I mean, there was the McLaren winner who has the same surname as me, Oliver Rowland. He's still in Renault 3.5. In GP2, I think they have got 2 drivers, which is Alex Lynn. Alex Lynn potentially has some backing behind him because I think he's backed by Red Bull. Alex Lynn's possibly one. There's Jordan King, never even heard of him, and that's it. That is it.
Yeah.
There is no other route way.
Can I
That
just
is
say,
literally it.
at the start of this podcast, did you really think that British motorsport were getting a bigger slating than the New England Patriots or the Seahawks?
Well, no, to be honest with you, but I just find it ironic that the fact that you've actually got 3 drivers in the IndyCar field that are British.
Yeah. It is, and it is hugely ironic, and I think, you know, let's not forget, though, that some of the best talent, some of the best British talent, and I will say, Dan Weldon, Dario Franchitti, they would have been shit hot in Formula One. I mean, absolutely.
There are a
shit
lot
hot.
of drivers that would have been shit hot in Formula One. Sebastian Bourdais,
Oh,
for example,
God, yeah.
if he'd given a bit more time, that bloody Toro Rosso would have been amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Bourdais is, insane. You see what he does in the Tudor series,
He is
for
French,
example.
so.
Well, yes, you know. Shh. But yes. And you're right. And there's still... I think there's a lot of bullshit, I think, in motorsports at the moment. And what I think the F1 thing has done, if anything else, though, is I think it's taken the shine, that little glossiness, off of what motorsport is. And it's made people sit up and realise, you know what? Actually, there is a lot of good about motorsports. And I will still turn on the TV every weekend and enjoy watching a good race. But at the same time, you need to think about the people who are putting their lives on the line here. And also the people with dreams. Because these kids with dreams, they cannot get into motorsport. And that the best hope, generally, is things like iRacing, of all things.
It's amazing how drivers that we think have got so much talent seem to be falling into sports cars as well now.
Yeah.
And here's a question for you. Where's Justin Wilson?
I'm not quite sure. I mean, let's be honest, though. Wilson, he wasn't...
Is he going back to Dale Coyne or what?
I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. I mean, let's be honest. Justin Wilson, he's not bad. Not great. And I think his issue, of course, is the fact that he's about 7'2".
Which doesn't really help at all.
No, definitely not. But yeah, I think that's a nice place to wrap up on, really, isn't it?
I think it is.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, coming up in like 2 weekends' time, NASCAR on fire! Yeah. But also, for those of you who have asked, we have got the ISN.com World Championship Grand Prix Series starting in 2 months' time. Schedules will come out soon. Also, the 12 Hours of Sebring. 12 Hours of Sebring, Nick. iRacing's version. Guess what I've got to do on March 28th?
Commentate.
Yes! Guess what all the fans have got to do?
Watch.
Watch it! Oh yeah. But yeah.
Watch it!
I'm sorry, you need more. More power.
You got the power.
I've got the power! But yeah. Unless it's willpower. Thank you very much for listening. Any final thoughts, Nick?
I love you all, and I think I might do Sebring 12 hours.
There we are. We'll talk to you all next time. Bye.
Bye.